Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Busy hour coming up 15 minutes from right now. The best and worst NBA and college teams ATS and with totals. Plus we'll do ROI and the NHL. Lou Finocchiaro, bottom of the program. Best bets in the UFC and also the Super Bowl from him. Here we begin this hour talking best bets in soccer as the meat man, Steve Wyss, joins the program now, Nordic Football Pod. And because we win, you have a ton of bets for the Prim and the Championship League. And let's begin there. You have a best bet on Saturday in the Championship League. Which one is it?
Hi, guys. Hope you're doing really well. It is in the match Sheffield Wednesday against Luton Town. And the bet is on the Asian handicap, Sheffield Wednesday minus 0.25 or minus a quarter of a goal at minus 125. I just got to take this bet because Luton have lost now 12 consecutive matches away from home in all competitions. They've recently changed their manager, but that didn't change their fortunes on the road either. So, I mean, at some point, this run is going to end. Mm-hmm. But until it does, I cannot not bet on Sheffield Wednesday minus a quarter of a goal. If it ends a draw, you only lose half your stake. So it's an automatic bet by default, really. I actually watched Sheffield Wednesday against Leeds recently. They put up a pretty good fight. They eventually lost 3-0. But they look quite good to me. They've got goals in them. So you'd fancy them anyway, really, at home against most teams. This Luton away form, until they do get a result, we just got to keep betting against them if the odds are they where they are now.
Yep, totally agree. Let's cash another one. Very good. Let's get to the Prim. Let's start Saturday. Liverpool in action. You're involved with the total. What do you want to do?
Goals, overs. Over 3.25 on the Asian line at evens. Someone actually tagged me in this on X a few days ago, wondering if I'd mention it on this segment. And I totally agree. There's got to be goals here. Bournemouth, by the way, I wouldn't put off anyone wanting to bet on them on the money line, plus 370.
Okay.
I could see Liverpool losing the game. Bournemouth are playing some unbelievable soccer. They might be playing the best soccer in the entire Premier League right now. And I include Liverpool in that. They're unbeaten in something like 10 or 11 games. And this is going to be a tricky game for Liverpool because Bournemouth really come at you hard with a pressing system. And they've got a manager, Iraola, who I think is going to end up at one of the really big clubs in Europe, possibly like the Real Madrids and Barcelonas eventually. A superb young manager. And, his style is really attacking. They create a lot of chances. They shoot a lot. They really take so many shots. And recently, those shots have been going in the back of the net. So, Liverpool, I think, are going to have to fight fire with fire here. And, we know Liverpool's firepower themselves. Something like a 2-2 draw, 3-2 win for someone would not surprise me. The goal line is low, 3.25. I thought the line should be 3.5 or 3.75. So, again, we're getting line value. And I'm very happy to go on the overs. I would much rather take the overs than back Liverpool at minus money.
Okay.
I think this is a massive trap.
And then, Steve, for books not offering the Asian handicap, just a regular standard total of 3 minus 135 to the over, is that juice worth it in your opinion?
Yeah, over 3 goals at minus 135 is absolutely fine. If you want to be more aggressive, go over 3.5 goals, which I think is about plus 130-ish. I think you've got options there depending on how you like to bet.
All right back on the horse. Nottingham Forest, under.
Yeah, under 2.5 goals against Brighton. The reverse fixture ended 2-2, and I got burnt, actually. It was one of the very few matches that went over for Forest at that stage of the season. The big shock result for me last weekend was Forest getting beaten 5-0 by Bournemouth.
Yeah.
It just shows you how good Bournemouth were in that match. But that's very unusual for Nottingham Forest. They've been so good defensively this season. And I think often what happens when a good team gets beaten big like that and concede so many goals, all week they're going to work on defense on the training fields. So there's nowhere that their manager's going to be furious about that. He's going to make them really hard to break down. He's going to defend stoutly here. He won't mind a 0-0 or a low-scoring draw as long as they don't lose the game. And Brighton, I've said it before about them, if you let them play soccer, they can tear anyone apart. If you don't give them space, if you defend against them and compress them deep, then they have problems unlocking defences. So Forest are not a good matchup for Brighton. Brighton are not going to be able to play their free-flowing soccer. And, I think Brighton missed too many chances anyway. So this is under 2.5 goals territory at minus 105. a team that have just gone embarrassed defensively will step up this week and put in a much better performance at the back.
All right, we had some nice calls lately, especially on Everton. See if you can find another dog here. What do you think of Wolverhampton draw no bet?
I think the Wolves on the draw no bet, yeah, definitely against Aston Villa. Most important thing to remember about this matchup is it's a big local rivalry in the second city of Birmingham in the UK. These two teams hate each other. The fans don't get on. This is, I'm surprised actually, it's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff time local. There could be some trouble here. Definitely, I think a few of the fans would have been drinking throughout the day. The police are going to have a difficult match on their hands, and the atmosphere is going to be intense. Villa have only won one of the last 7 visits to Wolves, and this is just not a good matchup for them in general. They've just played in the Champions League midweek, and they're on a bit of a high after that, actually. They've qualified in the top 8 in the Champions League, so well done to Villa. But sometimes when you have a big result, you get a come down in any sport, and that could happen here. I was surprised to see Wolves on the draw no bet at plus 150. I thought they'd be the slight underdog, but I thought we'd be like plus 110, plus 120. Wolves are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. They're not just going to give up, especially against a fierce local rival. And I think they've played a little bit better than their results suggest, Wolves, recently as well. So I think draw no bet security here. If it ends a tie, we're not going to lose anything. But I think the shot could be on here. If Aston Villa struggle after Champions League games, they haven't got the squad to cope with the tough fixture schedule, and Wolves can take advantage.
All the money, Pauly and Mitch Vyss in the Sports Betting Network. Steve Wyss, our guest on the Progressive Line at Meatman Soccer on X, the Because We Win pod, Nordic Soccer pod as well. The big one Sunday, not as big as we thought, though. Man City against Arsenal, total of 2.5. What do you think of this one?
Well, I think the game has been priced up with the odds based on recent head-to-heads, where when these two teams have met in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been a title battle decider. And we've seen some quite close, tight games. There's been 1-0s, there's been 0-0s, things like that. But on this occasion, this is not such a big game because Liverpool are clear at the top of the table. Manchester City are only in 4th and can't defend for their life at the minute. And this feels to me like a must-win game for both. Draw's not really good enough, probably better for City. If Arsenal really want to keep their title battle alive, they've got to get the win. So I think it's going to open up. I mean, Manchester City nearly got knocked out of the Champions League in midweek. They were, 30 minutes from being knocked out, but they managed to come back. One thing that struck me from that, they just still can't defend. Club Brugge, a Belgian team, were creating so many chances against them. So Arsenal should be able to be, Arsenal's offense is unreliable, but they will get opportunities from set pieces as well. They've got some big lads like Gabriel. Wouldn't be surprised if they popped up with a goal there. So over 2.5 goals, a simple one. Minus 125. We don't need to overcomplicate this with Asian lines and things like that. Just a straight over 2.5 goals, because I think it's going to be way more open than normal when these two sides meet. And I've got a lot more defensive doubts about both teams compared to when they normally meet as well.
Okay, and one more on Sunday. You've called them dreadful, awful form, Man U. You want to oppose Man U here again?
Well, they've actually just won a match this evening in Romania. They've gone there, I think, and won 3-0 against the Romanian champions. So that in itself is one of the reasons I'd quite like fading them this weekend, because they've got to travel there and back against a Crystal Palace team who can be awkward against the big sides. They're quite strong defensively and they can counterattack quite well. So I like Palace. Draw no bet, plus 165. I mean, for those who want to be a bit more safe, you could take draw double chance on Crystal Palace here. But Manchester United here are around about evens, maybe just a shade over plus 105 territory. I just don't think you can back them against anyone really at this price, especially a side like Crystal Palace, who are known for being quite well set up tactically with Oliver Glasner. They lost last weekend against Brentford at home, but they've only had 2 defeats since the 9th of November. That's in about 12 games. So fair play to Crystal Palace. The last time they lost away from home was in October at Forest. So I draw no bet. I think it's a big disrespect on Nottingham Forest here. On Crystal Palace here. Plus 165. I'm being quite aggressive with this one. But we don't lose anything if it's a draw. So I'm very happy to oppose Manchester United. They do not impress me. They won last week at Fulham. It was one of the worst ever Premier League games I've seen in my life, to be honest, guys. There was about 12 shots in the entire game. Fulham were too scared, and Man United were awful. Don't even look at that 1-0. It wasn't even a deserved result.
Great job, my friend.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you, and we'll catch up with you next week. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll through those. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week.
All
Thanks,
right,
Steve.
You got it. He also likes Watford, draw no bet in the Championship League as well. They take on Norwich. Small card tonight in the NBA. Thanks to the emails and tweets, by the way. I missed this. Dallas was up 4. The Pelicans ran a play with 1 second left. McCollum hit a 3 at the buzzer to put it on 1. Incredible. T-Wolves have been great in Utah. I think they've covered 9 in a row.
Is that right?
Something like that in Utah.
Well, Utah is also dreadful, but a back-to-back here for the Wolves.
Yep, and horrible spot here. And I think the line's telling you something. Memphis laying 4.5 at home to the Rockets. 4th game in 5 days for Houston. Sorry, Memphis, number 1 team in the league off a loss, 13-2 ATS.
Trust me, at first blush, I was like, that's way too many points for the Rockets. And you dive in, you're like, maybe it's not.
Yep, and I think the total's too high in the Orlando-Portland game. They just played. It was low scoring. Stayed well under the total. It's 212.5 tonight. Portland been feisty, playing well. They've won 5 of 6. And then you got the Lakers in Washington tonight, and the Lakers laying a bunch again. And you called it too. I mean, it was just run out by Toronto as well. There you go. No big games complete without a classic game of squares. This year, make it even better with Circa Squares bets from Circa Sports. We all know the pain of pulling those bad numbers. Not anymore. At Circa, you get to choose your square and the numbers you want. Each square has its own odds, so you're always in control of your bet. Download the Circa Sports Nevada app today. Place your Circa Squares bet. Turn your big game into a big win with Circa Sports.
A bunch of teams are hitting 75% or better on the year in college basketball. Find out the teams coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll get some best bets on the UFC card coming up in 15 minutes. Uncle Lou Finocchiaro going to join the program at that time. I hope he has maybe a best bet or two in the Super Bowl as well. Here we go. Time now for your weekly look at the best and worst teams in the NBA. Now this time of year in college basketball, ATS. And with totals, 2 teams are at the very top of the list in the NBA. Memphis and Cleveland, both teams in action tonight. Each squad 31-16 ATS. The Clip Joint, 30-17. Thunder 27-17-3. That's impressive to me because they didn't get that job done last night, but every game they're laying like 8, 10, 12 points. Raptors 10 games over 500. Rockets 27-18-1. The worst teams in the NBA, ATS, numero uno on the list, Phoenix. Has not been a good year for the Suns. They are hitting at about 35.5%, 16-29-1 overall. The Wiz.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, do you agree with Durant? He was asked about, they made the trade and tried to get Beal to get their big 3, and then this is what happens when one of the big 3 stinks it up. He said, well, it's better that you try than do nothing. At least we went for it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right? The Wizards, the exact opposite of the Thunder.
This is hard to do.
Right?
Because they're big numbers.
The point spread is the great equalizer.
Oh.
They're horrendous. They're catching huge numbers every game. They're 17-27-2 against the spread. Philly, same mark. Kings, 17-26-4. The Celtics got the job done last night, but 19-28-1 against the spread, and the Pelicans, just a throwaway year. 19-28-1 ATS. The best teams in the NBA over. Cavaliers, same as their ATS mark. They are 31-16 to the over on the year. Good job out of the Cavaliers. Fun watch as well. Denver 30-17. Same record as Memphis to the over. Nolans 27-20-1. Atlanta 27-20 to the over. The best teams to the under in the NBA. Charlotte hitting at 63.6%. They are 28-16 to the under. The Clippers 28-18-1 to the under. Orlando 28-20. Boston 27-21 to the under, and then Phoenix 25-21 to the under. It gets good to hear Pauly in college basketball. Houston Christian, Richie Baccellieri came on the show from Circus Sports 2 days ago, and he said he loves the trash, man. Houston Christian, bad basketball team, but 16-3 against the spread. San Jose State 16-4.
Yes.
Fairleigh Dickinson 14-4. Omaha out of the Summit League, 16-5. Your team, UC Irvine, 15-5 against the spread.
I wonder if they run the table, if they could get they get an at-large.
At-large?
They have to run the table. They already have one conference loss. But if you're like 29-3 or something, you stub your toe in a conference tournament, maybe San Diego gets them. Okay.
Sure.
They're good.
The following teams are 14-5 ATS: Norfolk State, VMI, Illinois, Chicago, and UC San Diego. The worst teams in college basketball, ATS: Sam Houston State with a bullet, 3-15 against the spread. Yikes. Miami. I want to ask the question, what happened here? But Larinaga retired, so 5-16 against the spread. Vermont, Louisiana, Northern Kentucky, Bellarmine, and Arkansas are 5-15. Are you going to be watching Arkansas at Kentucky? Calipari makes his return Saturday night. I think you have to, just for the reaction.
What do you think? You don't think it's going to be a round of applause? I understand the Patino thing, which I still don't agree with, but he took the Louisville job.
Right.
But to boo Patino, it's like, come on. Where were you at when he took the job?
Oh, you're on the death penalty, basically.
I know, yeah. And he turned you into the best program in the country. Final Four after Final Four. I think he'll get a nice ovation.
You think he's going to?
Yeah, I do. You think they're going to boo him?
Well, I like what Patino said today. He's. Now, I don't know about Patino sending out a message. It's unnecessary. You're the coach of St. John's. You can give it a rest here, pal.
Yeah.
I love Patino. Don't get me wrong.
I like the front end. I told you about Pope.
But he also said, look, I'm not John Calipari's best friend.
Yeah.
But he said he gave you the best talent in the history of college basketball for that long of a stretch. He's not wrong.
Yeah, but they only won one title.
No, I understand that.
It was a big disappointment, though.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Right.
I know. We'll see. I think he'll 70-30 applause.
All right. Best college basketball teams to the over.
Hello.
Again, it's all about the Summit League, right? South Dakota, 17-3. And they're going over by 11.5 points per game, and their totals are to the moon.
91-87 last night. North Florida, also 17-3. 101-100 last night.
Wow.
It's another one. And there's your other Summit League team, North Dakota, 16-4 to the over.
Yeah.
Tonight you have South Dakota State against North Dakota State.
Yeah, North Dakota State's on the list.
Yep, that's 155.
We'll get to that one in a second. Yep. Cornell, 11-3-2 to the over. Temple and USC, 15-5. Good job by Musselman here. All things considered. North Dakota State, there you go, 14-5. St. Thomas out of the Summit League, 14-5-1. That tournament's going to be incredible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Delaware, 14-5 to the over. Best teams to the under. Cincinnati now, 17-3 on the year to the under. Impressive. Kansas, they've had a couple of overs now, but they're still 16-4 under. St. Louis, 15-4. Kent State, 14-4. Southern Utah, 12-4-1. Arkansas Little Rock, 14-5. Lipscomb, 14-5. And Youngstown State, 14-5-1 to the under. There you go.
All right. Hockey, number one ROI. Washington with a bullet, up 16 units on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Montreal, up 10 and change. The Jets, number 3, up 960. Anaheim, 860. Minnesota, 730. $100 bet every game on the Wild. You're up 7 units and change. Number 1, still Nashville, down 19 units. The Devils, down 14 units. You're down 14 and change on the Islanders as well. Boston and San Jose, down 10 units. The number 1 over team, still Columbus. 30-18-2 to the over. Pittsburgh, 29-21-2 to the over. The Devils, 35-16-2 to the under. Ottawa, 31-13-4. Anaheim, 31-12-2 to the under. Washington, they play Ottawa tonight. Capitals, 10 straight unders. Ottawa, 15-1-1 under run.
Come on.
Yeah. 5.5 under minus 140, as Jeff Davis mentioned earlier.
Wow, okay.
Believe that? How is Thompson not in the mix, though? That's the price. What is he, 23-2? Then goals against the two.
Look, I've had several people say that you got to grab some of this guy, and he was recently, I think, in the 20, 22, 25-1 range. 18-1 you can still find. But Jeff Davis came on an hour ago and basically said it's going to take an injury. It has to.
Now, they're number 1 with the overs, but Columbus, 7 of their last 8 have gone under. That tells you the run they were on.
Yeah.
Goal in the first 10. At home, Pittsburgh, 13-2. Chicago, 16-3. Buffalo, 15-3. On the road, goal in the first 10. These are all yes. Edmonton, 18-3. Flyers, 21-5. Toronto, 11-2. Overall, goal in the first 10. Chicago 13-2, Detroit 16-5, some losers now. Toronto 18-4, St. Louis 13-2, Nashville 6 in a row, Anaheim 8 of 9. The system Jonathan Davis likes to use, play the goal in the first 10 if a team's shut out in the previous game. That would be goal in the first 10 tonight in the Islanders-Flyers and in the Tampa Bay Kings match. At Cirque, it's $1.35, and in the Islanders, it's $1.30.
Okay, so that's, again, the team that is off a shutout in their next game. It's not only goal in the first 10, it's also first period over, right?
Goal in the first 10 has been stronger.
Stronger, okay.
Right, and it's on a nice run. There's all your hockey.
All right, here is the player prop that I'm betting as if I have inside information tonight. I don't. I just think there's a chance where this guy has himself a doozy of a game, and it involves the lowly Wizards. There is no Anthony Davis. He's out tonight. So the Lakers are laying, a hefty number here against the worst team in the NBA that I wonder if like a college all-star team could actually give the Wizards a run for their money. I'm half joking, half not. Davis only played 7 minutes against Golden State on Christmas Day. In that game, Austin Reeves had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Davis missed the next game against Portland. Reeves, 15 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Davis missed earlier this month against Brooklyn. Reeves, 38 points, only 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And Davis only played 10 minutes on against Philly the other night. Reeves had 13, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. So with no Anthony Davis gobbling up, 15 rebounds in this game tonight, he will also not be taking 15, 20 shots. Austin Reeves is going to have plenty of usage. I have bet him several different ways tonight. I bet like a player prop parlay, like will he score 20 points, grab like 6 rebounds, and have 8 assists that I think paid like 9-1. I also played, and this is on vsin.com, I played 8 rebounds and 10 assists at 17, more than 17-1. And I also played triple-double at 36-1. If he goes off tonight and has a big game, I'll be dancing on Las Vegas Boulevard at about 2 a.m. with about 9 drinks in me.
Put a little LeBron triple-double in there, too.
I'm good with Reeves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really?
I need Reeves, yeah.
All right. Just trying to help. Good luck. Whether your season's better, just joining the action, Super Bowl success starts with VSiN Super Bowl Betting Guide. Out now. Get it jam-packed with everything you need to make informed wagers. The preview, obviously, the top trends, final score predictions, MVP as well. VSiN.com/subscribe. As little as $9.99. Prop Analyzer pays for that. Bang. Get it now.
Best bets, UFC and Super Bowl. Lou Finocchiaro next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Okay, so we're going to try to reconnect with Lou Finocchiaro in about 15 minutes to go over his best bets in the UFC this weekend and the Super Bowl as well. A couple of technical difficulties here, so hopefully we can get that ironed out in the next 15 minutes. The VSiN Super Bowl betting guide is out today, Pauly. A couple of really cool numbers over the last 15, 20 years. You get your hands on the guide today at vsin.com/subscribe. I will admit, everybody here at the network gave out their Super Bowl prediction and MVP, but yours truly. No excuses. So I saw Adam Burke's email early in the week. I put a reminder in my phone for Wednesday night to go and give him my pick and the MVP. And then I went back and I got the email last night and I'm looking through it and I forgot about the part that said, yeah, picks are due by Tuesday, like at 5:00. And I felt like a total loser. So my pick would be around 31-27 in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet exact scores.
All right.
Both ways. Chiefs, Eagles to win each of them, like 31-26, 31-27, and 31-28. I'll bet those. So I'll bet like 6 bets there. They're all like 150-1. Have a little bit of fun. Probably some pizza money on those. And pretty light card over me so far for the Super Bowl. I'm still trying to develop, and I'm waiting for more props to come out, to be honest.
Oh, you'll be fine.
I'll have 30 by the time.
Once you talk to Bovey and Frank B and McKay and they unleash hell tonight at the Westgate, you'll be dancing.
Now, this from Mackinnon in the guide, again, available today, vsin.com/subscribe. The team with the better record going into the Super Bowl, all-time 30-20. But since 2004, The team with the better record has lost 12 of the last 14, and they are on a 1-16 ATS skid. Also, the team that is the better playoff seed, 2-16-2 ATS last 28 Super Bowls. No good there for the Chiefs this year if that continues. Underdogs in the Super Bowl. Philly, a small dog here in this game, but they are 17-6, 73.9% over the last 23 years, including a 13-4 ATS run in the last 17 games. Teams that allowed fewer points per game during the regular season, 8-1 straight up, 7-2 ATS, last 9 Super Bowls. Philly allowed 17.8 points per game. Kansas City, 19.2. I will flip it here and give you one that has favored, well, if history would hold here, it would go Kansas City's way. Teams with more yards overall offensively in the regular season, 0 edge in recent Super Bowls. They are 2-11 straight up, 1-12 ATS last 13. Philly, huge edge in overall yards per game, 367 to 328. I'll round up there for KC. So, and he has many more like numbers over the years that you can get at vsin.com/subscribe.
I'm surprised the shortest touchdown that's 7-2 the last 9. I would think that seems that happens every big game, and it's not that difficult to do.
You mean so it's under 1.5?
Yeah, the under 1.5. Yeah, that you get the 1 yard touchdown, and that prop is available, by the way, for both teams plus 310. But it just seems with what you have, tush push and going back, always seems to be a PI or a call like that comes in. Yeah.
No, I'll give you this too. I went back and looked last 5 or 6 years at fourth down conversions.
Good.
Because you think, right, like it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah. Eagles are $7.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Kansas City's $2.
So last year, Niners, Chiefs, each team only went for it one time. They each got it. The year before that, Philly was 2 for 2. KC did not have a fourth down attempt.
Rising.
In that 38-35 game, right?
38-35 game. Yeah, well said.
In 2022, the Rams went for it once. They got it. Since he went for it 3 times, they only got 1.
Yeah, right off the bat.
He hated Zach Taylor doing that.
Yep, sure.
2021, KC went for it 3. That's the game they got absolutely buried. They went for 3 fourth downs. They only got 1. Tampa Bay was 0 for 1. The year before that, KC was 2 for 3. The Niners, 0 for 1. And the year before that, it was a pro bettor's dream come true. You want absolutely nothing to happen in the Super Bowl? Well, nothing did happen. The Patriots beat what was the final score? 13-3?
Yes.
Something like that?
Greg the Leg missed with like 50 seconds left to make it 13-6.
13-6.
I thought no touchdown was definitely in play.
Oh, it was.
It was. I mean, we're talking late in the game, and then the Patriots finally punch it in. I'm like, this could be a 6-3, 9-3 final. This is crazy.
I think because that total was so high in the game, like mid-50s, yeah. And nothing happened in the first half, that the second half total was like 28 or 28 and a half.
I couldn't believe it.
You were on the air, and you're saying, how are these teams going to score?
Yeah, Goff was shook, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
But in that game, the Pats went for it only one time on fourth down. They did not get it. The Rams never went for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
Also, some other historical numbers.
Yeah. The all-timer was also New England-Philly. Brady throws for 500 yards. They lose the game.
I know.
So much stuff cashed in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Foles with the touchdown catch, and you also had Brady was wide open, too, if he would have hit him. And you got that prop now that's popular where a quarterback catch a pass. But that game was nuts.
Are we getting points in this game?
Feels like it. Yeah.
Like you can find 48.5 right now. 40, all those numbers are key. 47, 48, 49, but 49 is a key number.
Yeah. Well, again, strange things happen, though. You go, everyone thought New England and the Rams were going to be high scoring.
Right.
And look what that turned out to be. But I thought last year was going to be high scoring. Could have finished 16-13, something like that.
I'll also give you some, over the last 10, 15 years or so, Ralph Michaels has done a great job with this over the years. He's been in the gambling space for a long, long time. He tweeted out yesterday, like Super Bowl trends with props. The team to score last has won 15 straight games. That used to be, and that prop's going to be available everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And it used to be about $1.35 or so. I still don't think it's like out of control. It's like $1.60, $1.70 maybe. But 15 straight there. You like to bet no score, like first 5, 6, 7 minutes. The score in the first 6 minutes, 7-1 to the no. Super Bowl squares, 0-0 has been the winning first quarter square in 5 out of the last 10 Super Bowls. 14 straight teams have won the coin toss and deferred. You have to go back all the way to the Saints-Colts Super Bowl. New Orleans won the toss and they received. A run has been the first play in 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls.
That's surprising. I never would have guessed that. Seems to me teams have come out throwing.
Yeah. And what did you see? First play, 3.5 yards?
Yes.
All right. The no on the safety has been a winner 10 straight Super Bowls. There was that stretch 3 straight years before that where it cashed every single time.
The more I think about it, one of the most egregious calls is now the safety, intentional grounding on Brady. There was miscommunication. The guy ran the wrong route. Brady threw it deep. They called us.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And now they won't call it ever.
True.
So what happened with Darnold and Goff and the playoff game with Stroud? Like they refused to call it, but they called it on a miscommunication with a quarterback and a wide receiver. Nuts.
Yep.
Could we? Well, Andy Reid could do it though. We'd see him take one on purpose, do it intentionally. You know what Harbaugh did? Same thing. All right, run around back of the end zone.
People are sports books and ballrooms will be going bananas under that scenario.
And I did that. I was on that year. That was 2 months after Megabucks.
You were on the no?
I was on the safety.
Okay.
That's when Harbaugh took it intentionally. And it also put the game on 3.
Yeah.
And you also had a kickoff return in that game. That game had everything.
But think about that scenario where the team is up by, you got to have double, it's got to be a 2-score game. So you're up 11, 12, 13, 14 points in that neighborhood, and they're pinned deep, and there's a minute to go. It's 4th and 13. Why not? And if they would do that, the whole place would lose their minds. Books got murdered the first play of the game, because that specifically was a huge 50-1, 100-1, whatever it was.
Yeah, first score. First play of the game.
First play of the game, safety.
Yeah.
Was it Tony Miller?
Tony Miller. That's a great line. He had to call his boss right away. We're in a hole we can't get out of.
Can't get out of after the first play of the game.
Yep.
Wow.
That's surprising. Successful 2-point conversion. The no 6-1 last 7. And then there's the shortest touchdown, as I mentioned as well. Our buddy Glenn Quincy Mass, who we met at Foxwoods, always likes that. And he pointed out it comes in big games all the time. But 7-2 the last 9 years.
Yep.
Under 1.5 shortest touchdown.
So you're not going to get my prediction. You just did on the air, but you're going to get everybody else, the host here on VSiN, their predictions. You're going to get, by the way, Makinen simulated the box score, and he has been like very close the last 4 years. It's awesome. The overall final score, what these players are going to do in the game. You can go get it today at vsin.com/subscribe. It gets better every single time. It's the VSiN Super Bowl betting guide for the Chiefs and the Eagles. All right, so we're going to try to reconnect with Lou Finocchiaro coming up next. We'll get his best bets in the UFC and his thoughts on the Super Bowl number as well. This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
A lot of bets coming here. Uncle Lou Finocchiaro joins the program now. He is on the Progressive guest line. We'll get to his UFC best bets coming up in a minute. Lou, good to talk to you as always. Thanks for the time. You love the NFL, though. You love betting on this sport. I'm guessing that you probably have a pretty strong opinion on Chiefs-Eagles. Let's have it. What are you thinking here?
Well, first of all, guys, thanks so much for having me on, giving the UFC a little time in NFL season. And so here's where I'm going. It's my belief that the Philadelphia body of work shows different than the Kansas City body of work. And I've got defense and a running game with Philadelphia and a team that thought they could win 2 years ago and didn't. And that, to me, manifests itself in Philadelphia advantage. For that reason, Philadelphia money line, And these are all available. I just bet them today at DraftKings. So if you have DraftKings, these are available. Philadelphia -4.5 plus 198. Philadelphia -6.5 plus 263. Barkley MVP plus 260. Hurts MVP plus 350. I'll bet them both with the belief that if Philly wins the game, one of those guys is MVP, and I can make money by betting the both of them. Barkley anytime touchdown -200. That gets people nervous. Doesn't get me very nervous, to be quite honest with you. And then finally, Kansas City under 23.5. That's a plus 120. My belief is that Philadelphia is going to use their offensive line and their defense to control this game. And as good as Reed and Mahomes are, sport is cruel. And Kansas City's close to history. Sport can be cruel to everybody. How ironic would it be for Philly to beat Andy Reid, his old team? I believe all that rolls into a Philadelphia 31-20 kind of a score. That's just me.
I'd love to see it. Very good. All right, let's start with UFC Fight Night in the main event. Adesanya, about $1.60, 4.5 the total, over -170. Does someone get finished here?
I think it's entirely possible. The 4.5 rounds is shaded over pretty good. They're expecting a decision and probably an Adesanya decision. That's logical. But Imavov uses energy in his attempt to grapple, and he's going to sell out to get his hands on Adesanya. Adesanya, the handicap in this fight really is, which Izzy are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy that's lost his last two that didn't look really overly motivated, or do we get a motivated guy that wants to make a run again? And I think that there's too much potential for damage to his legacy to keep losing. I think we get a focused Adesanya, and I think that kind of an Adesanya can really take the steam out of Imavov in rounds 3 and 4, slow him down, and eventually get to him. That's a plus 130. So fight does not go the distance. Plus 130 seems like a pretty good investment on my side.
All right, everyone, pay attention here. Uncle Lou has done this before. Let's go Page and Magomedov. A unique way you're going to play this. Tell us how.
Well, we understand that the total in this 3-round fight is 2.5 rounds, shaded over -230. So that's the basis. I think that Michael Page is a 170-pounder fighting at 185. He's not going to have to struggle to cut weight. At 37, he's wildly athletic and needs space to use his unorthodox, awkward angles to hit people. Magomedov is not only handicapped by being a one-eyed fighter, he's a little slower, more meticulous, kind of a plotter, but he has tremendous power. Power for Magomedov, speed and precision for Page. Page is going to dance around. I think he wins a decision in Magomedov's backyard. Page via decision plus 275. And it's not going to be easy to beat a Muslim in a Muslim country in his own backyard. And so for that reason, on DraftKings, you can have the fight to end in majority decision or split decision. If we take Page in that venue, it's plus 900. If we take Shara Magomedov to win via split or majority decision, if there's some home cooking involved, that's plus 600. So small bets on the props, but a decent sized bet on Page to win via decision plus 275. I just think he's too fast and athletic for Magomedov, who I am not totally sold on yet.
Always shenanigans with the judges. As Dana White always says, don't let it go to the judges, and Lou's hit one of those before. Nurmagomedov, Oliveira to go the distance? Just explain this one.
Two countries that hate each other when it comes to mixed martial arts. And this Oliveira from Brazil is chiseled out of marble. He's fast, he's athletic, and he's primarily an explosive striker. Then you got Magomedov, the typical Russian vice grip wrestler that's got to get close, get a hold, get you against the fence, and get you on the ground. Where this fight takes place will tell us who is winning, but I see two motivated 135-pound fighters here, and I don't think one is going to be able to put the other away. And if they're going to give me even money or a minus 105 on this fight to go all the way to decision, I'll gladly take that.
All right. How about this unique bet? McKinney fight. Yes, it will start. Round 2 will start.
And DraftKings, those are the round props, and you can go there. Now, McKinney is a guy that wins all his fights in the first round because people try and stand toe-to-toe with him, but he can tire, and he has been pushed to the second round before. He's a new dad. He's got a new focus. He lost his last fight by devastating knockout in the first round, and he's getting a guy that's going to be willing he's going to get a guy that's willing, but I just think that this fight is going to go, and I think McKinney will get him, but I think it's going to take till round 2 to get him. Hadzovic is a Bosnian, and if anything, besides being a little aged, he's durable and tough. This fight, I believe, sees the second round, and if it does, we can get a plus 130, plus 120 on that.
Okay, very good. And correct me if I'm wrong, this would be your strongest bet. Mike Davis, $1.30?
That's my strongest bet on the card. That's correct. He's fighting a long, tall Frenchman named Zayam. Zayam's won his last 4, but against guys almost tailor-made for him and singularly dimensioned. We saw him last knock out Matt the Steamroller Frivola in violent fashion, and I think people carry that into this handicap. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight is this Hadzovic that's just awful durable, and I think this fight starts round 2 for sure.
Okay, I was going to ask you about Zayam, and I'm glad you brought that up.
So, yeah, excuse me. We were talking Zayam and Davis. Yep. I went on a tangent there. Zayam's long and tall and a striker, and he hasn't faced a guy in Mike Davis that's as well-rounded. Davis is coming off an injury. We don't really know who he is because we haven't seen him. Mike Davis is in a really strong position here. He's an articulate, very learned, cerebral type of a fighter that doesn't have to fight, but he fights because he's so good at it. I really think he has a very outstanding showing against Zayam.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up with what you're talking about with Zayam. I was watching some of the highlights. That knee to the head of his last opponent, I believe, was about as impressive as you can get, and the guy was knocked out silly. But you're saying that guy and also like previous competition, just not that good for him.
That guy Frivola makes fights. He's a fan favorite. Right. He goes right in there to get into the war. Mike Davis will be a little bit more cautious, but don't make any mistake about it. Matt Frivola is not Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a legit top 10 in this division. All he needs is a couple fights in 1 year to be able to prove it, and I believe he starts with this fight, Mitch.
Excellent. You can follow Lou on X. He is at GamLou, and his write-ups are posted at vsin.com for his best bets for every single UFC card. Pleasure, my friend. Thank you. Best of luck this weekend and with the Super Bowl.
Thanks so much, guys. Great show. Love the new time. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. He was on the Progressive guest line. He loves the new show. He used to take the dogs for a walk in the morning to listen to us.
Yeah.
Because you can't take the dogs for a walk in the afternoon in Phoenix during the summertime.
No. Risky business.
That's not happening.
Nope. I love how he's playing that Page fight. That's
awesome. Creative.
Yes.
It's good.
But stuff like that happens all the time in the UFC. And a guy can be minus 2,000 in play. You're like, what? He lost the decision? Yeah. Give me a break.
He's also expecting the Eagles kind of in a rout, betting alternate numbers on them. Made his case. And I've had others who are very good at this, do it for a living, tell me the same exact thing. You had your buddy Richie.
Several people in the Patriots organization think the Eagles bury him.
Stanford Steve on the program coming up next. Does he fall into that same camp? Does he think the Eagles are going to roll Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? We'll talk about the Super Bowl with him next year on VSiN.